think he was just trying to lose you.
No, he actually had a turn.
He keeps making left turns. I don't understand.
Initially, he was following us.
He's waiting to see what you were going to steal. Such a pessimist. You have a smelly tablet? How do I always get the pens that are dead? Oh, thank you. Another dead pen. Your service is appreciated.
Here, you want me to do one?
Hold on.
I'm sure I have like 15 more.
Let's see if I'm 3 for 3.
You guys might want to turn off your mics if you're ready to speak. Your mic's on.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the July 8th meeting of the Governing Board. I'll let the record show that we have 4 of 5 board members present. Ms. Smith is unfortunately not with us due to a funeral in the family. Ms. Agata-Jones, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. No, we do not.
Okay, at this time I need a motion.
A motion to approve the agenda?
A second?
Okay, I have a first and a second. Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. At this time, if you would all join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this time, this meeting will recess for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the proposed expenditure budget and truth in taxation for the 2021-2022 school year in accordance with Arizona Revised Statute 15-905.01. Members of the public are invited to make comments and ask questions during the public hearing. It will follow as first a presentation regarding proposed budget. Secondly, questions and comments from the board members. Third, questions and comments from members of the public. And fourth, we will adjourn the public hearing and reconvene our regular meeting. At this time, I need a motion to recess.
I motion to recess.
Second.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
At this time, Mr. Berrigan?
Madam President, members of the board, as you guys know, that statute requires that the district do a public hearing, and I'm happy to go through the presentation, and I'll defer to you if you'd like me to go through that. But it's really an opportunity for you and for the public to ask any questions as it relates to the budget, specifically the truth and taxation notice that we posted in the paper in the Glendale Star. And there's, as you guys know, and I've commented several times, the way that the statute reads, I believe that it can be misleading depending on the circumstances, and I would say that changes on an annual basis. If you recall, at the last meeting, I did mention that when you're comparing the apples to apples in this case, this will be probably the year where it is going to be higher than the prior year. But overall, and we believe that our initial calculation on the overall primary and secondary tax rate are going to be slightly overstated. We do believe that when all is said and done, that the tax rate for this year will actually be less than in the prior year. In the end, we believe that the tax rate will just be lower. So again, while that portion might be higher, I think in the end it will be lower, and so we're going to report that to you in the upcoming months. And so just wanted to kind of lay that out there so that there was clarity. Again, we believe we overstated that slightly. In the end, we do believe it's going to be less. So I'll defer to the board if you'd like me to go through the presentation, considering at this point that there are no members of the public present to ask any questions.
Under the circumstances, wouldn't we still need to at least just present it?
Madam President, members of the board, the opportunity is for them, the public, to ask any questions. I'm happy to go through it, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those if that would make you feel a little bit more comfortable with that.
Would we be able to just put a notation referring them to the video from the presentation at the last meeting?
I believe it's also on the agenda for today, but I'm happy, like I said, I'm happy to go through that if you want to play it safe. I know that you guys know the information very well, and then I'm happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any additional questions carried over from last time, so I'm okay.
All right. Looks like consensus from the board. Okay. And since we have no members of the public to ask questions, then I need a motion to reconvene, please.
I will motion to reconvene.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson? Ms. Pimentel?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. At this time, we are on call to the public. We do not have any, correct? Okay. Moving on to 3, consent agenda. Are there any items that board members wish pulled aside for discussion? Okay. Hearing none.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson? Aye. Ms. Pimentel?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. At this time, we are now on reports and information items, the GESD Health Benchmarks Update.
Yes, good evening, Madam President, members of the board. At this time, Dr. Lafitte will present.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just wanted to give an update on the health benchmarks. As we go through it, we'll share the county metrics as we get from the state for Maricopa County. They've remained in the substantial transmission range. For district metrics, which comes through the Maricopa County Department of Health, we've seen a slight decrease. It has moved us from a transmission rate of high to a transmission rate of substantial. When you look at percent positivity, moving from 11.41 to 9.23, and then just a slight change in cases per 100,000. So overall, the data has been pretty steady over the past several weeks, and you'll see that as it's noted across the zip codes. It went through like kind of a roller coaster up and down movement there, but the past couple of weeks have been pretty consistent in that data as well across all 3 zip codes, which makes up Glendale Elementary School District. When we look at our surrounding districts, all of our data looks pretty much the same, all ranging from the mid to high 40s through the 50s Where an outlier is Pendergast up in at 76.86 in cases per 100,000. But if you look at our data up top, has been somewhat consistent. There's been that rocky up and down, but if you look at it really across, if you were to just average it across the past several months, it's all in that 50, high 50 point range in there. So with regards to our daily data, that's been it's moved about the same rate. You'll have highs and lows, but it all averages around that 14 or 15 total cases per day in that area. Any specific questions that anyone may have?
Any questions?
Okay.
Okay. Hearing none.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are on item 5A, which is action items, the 2021-2022 annual expenditure budget.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, it is recommended the governing board adopt the annual expenditure budget for the fiscal year 2022 as presented.
Okay, do any board members have any questions? Hearing none, I need a motion.
A motion to adopt the 2021-2022 expenditure budget.
Okay,
Second.
I have a first and a second. Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. 5B is the tax anticipation note resolution.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, at this time I'll hand it over to Mr. Berrigan.
Madam President, members of the board, the item before you is an effort by the administration to borrow money at a lower interest cost. And let me give you some background. It really started during the recession in 2010. The state legislature decided or acted on rolling over state equalization payments. I think Board Member Smith, every time we go through this in the beginning, and I think throughout all the budget presentation, she's always talking about the rollover of the IOUs, the money that's owed to school districts. Historically, or on average, it's been about $1 billion that the state has rolled over. In other words, money that are due to school districts or public schools, 3 or 4 payments are paid in the subsequent year. So they're shorting school districts cash. And I wanted to kind of put this in perspective. Going back to 2010, using the Department of Education's reports, one of the rollovers, and I believe it was 4.2 million, almost 4.9 million, and those figures and those trends continue really for the last 11 years or so. And to bring it to current, in 2020, the legislature, through the Department of Ed, rolled over almost 4 million, so $8 million in just kind of some of those examples, and it's a little bit more than that. We're being shorted cash. And so what that means is, you've heard me talk a little bit about there's cash and then there's budget capacity. And even though we may not have cash, we can still spend up to our budget capacity. But what happens, and you don't see this on your end, is that we're borrowing money from the bank to process those payments, whether it's payroll, whether it's accounts payable, just paying vendors, whatever, the utilities, whatever it might be. And so on an annual basis, we're tapping into an line of credit. So this recommendation before you is we're going to have to borrow money. How can we do it at the lowest cost possible? And so this is our attempt. You're a taxpayer in this district, and we're always concerned about finding the right balance. How do we meet the needs of our district while trying to minimize the taxes that you're paying? And so it's always a constant balancing act. And so this is our attempt. And so what you see here is an attempt to borrow money at a lower cost than drawing from a line of credit. And so that's really the concept of what's before you. Madam President, members of the board, I'm happy to answer any specific questions that you may have. To my left, and it's a familiar face, it should be, is Bill Davis. Bill Davis is our financial advisor. We're always talking about how do you reduce that tax rate knowing that we have financial obligations. If I can't answer the question, I'm happy to turn it over to Bill so that he can help address some of the questions or concerns or provide clarity to you and frankly, the public.
I think one of the most obvious questions is so that the public understands how much of a difference between the traditional borrowing versus going this route?
Madam President, members of the board, let me also provide you maybe some additional information. Not only has the legislature what they use as rolled over payments, in other words, money that is owed to school district paid in a subsequent year, but you might recall, I think it was in about 2010, maybe 2011, if school districts had a positive cash balance, they took it to address the state budget shortfall. Every district, their situation is going to be different. Here, I think, based if I remember correctly, Bill, and you'll have to correct me if I say this incorrectly, I think we're borrowing about $7 million, I think last year as an example, in the aggregate. I think we're asking for $5 million for this year. So while it doesn't address all of it, the question is there an opportunity to borrow money, say 5 of the $7 million, at a lower rate? If the answer is yes, why wouldn't we do that? Again, you're the taxpayer. You have committee members who are paying those taxes, and it's our attempt. We know we have to borrow money. There's a cash shortage. And every school district is, sometimes they're going to be in unique circumstances. There might be districts that don't have cash issues, and there can be many reasons on why there's a cash issue or shortage, and it ranges by district to district. I hope that answers your question, Board Member or President Bartels.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Mr. Davis, is there anything else that you think is important to add?
Very good, Madam President, members of the board. Good afternoon. I think consider tax anticipation notes as a tool that's available for you to cover your cash flow needs, as Mr. Berrigan explained. If we were to borrow today, and we hope to set the interest rate with the county treasurer in 2 weeks, but given today's interest rates, your borrowing costs for the notes would be at or below total, and this is total expense, at or below 1%. The line of credit through the bank that Mr. Berrigan mentioned, the current rate for the fiscal year 22 is going to be 3.25. So there's a pretty significant savings, just if you compare rates.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Okay. We have no further questions. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve the tax anticipation note resolution.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. At this time, we are on item 5C, policy revision, second reading.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, it is recommended the governing board approve the second reading and adoption of revisions to board policy JII student and their representatives' concerns, complaints, and grievances as presented.
Are there any questions from board members? Okay. Hearing none, I need a motion.
A motion to approve the second reading of policy JII.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Ms. Pimentel?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. We are now on item 6, future meetings and events.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, at this time, we have July 22nd as a special meeting. We do not feel that's necessary. If we have to do any resignations or hires, we would do that telephonically, if that's agreed upon. Then in addition to that, we're requesting in August, either the 12th or the 26th, to go into executive session to discuss your interests as we prepare for the new school year for negotiations. Meet and confer.
All right. At this time, are there any board members that have items they wish added to future agendas? Okay, hearing none, we are now on item 7A, superintendent report.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we are quickly preparing to begin the opening of school August 9th. It seems like we've just ended the school year. It's just happened so fast. So we're preparing for that. Everybody, we have made sure that with the closure of IMS and Sign, that all of the teachers' materials and equipment have been moved to the new locations. That's been done. So we continue to do that. We're now beginning to focus on getting all the supplies and textbooks and those things to all the classrooms. With that, we are also looking, Maricopa County will begin their webinars again about guidance with returning to school and still with reporting of COVID-19 and what that looks like, while the governor did rescind his executive orders, which included that the governing board can no longer delegate the responsibility to the superintendent to require masks. We are addressing that with our staff, and then we'll do a communication to our community within the next week. But at the same time, we still are waiting for Maricopa guidance. We still know that we need to follow the 6 feet for adults and 3 feet for children. And so we're continuing to prepare our schools for that as well. Other than that, just busy trying to get everything ready for the new school year, closing out the old school year, and doing those transitions. And at the same time, very pleased to recognize Ms. Norma Hadigi for her new position as Assistant Superintendent. She did attend her first executive team meeting today. Somehow during that meeting she walked out and didn't come back, and I said, "Where's Norma?" And Debbie says, I think she thought the meeting was over, and so it wasn't over. We called her back and said, "You will sit here until 2:30 until I'm done." But you're a great addition to the team, and we're happy Norma's with us. So a lot of things going on right now, and then this week, just to have a little bit of fun, trying to really rally the valley. And we've had some of our teachers and our future GSD students send in pictures and something to keep people's minds off the heat and a little fun. So but we do go Suns, vamos Suns, and we wish them well tonight. That ends my report.
Thank you. At this time, we are on 7B, Governing Board Report. Mr. Martinez.
Welcome to the table, Ms. Heidegge. It's good to finally have you amongst us. I've known you for several years now, so it's glad to finally see you again across the table, since I think you were my kid's principal for quite a long time and suckered me. Drafted me into the PTA and led me down the road to where I am now. So thank you for joining us. I look forward to all the things you have to offer. Sons in 4, that's all.
Ms. Wilson.
I'll reiterate, welcome, Ms. Haragi. We're lucky to have you. So it'd be nice to see your smiling face across from me, the meetings. And except go Suns, that's it.
Okay, Ms. Pimentel.
I'm going to say ditto. It is so nice to see you here, Ms. Hadigi. You're always so welcoming to all of us, so we welcome you to this big, giant table that we have. And I know that you're going to do well. And I know you had a great reason for walking out of the meeting earlier today. And I'm going to reiterate, Sons in 4. Let's go.
All right, so ditto on that. But I'm going to add one more thing. Summertime blood shortages are prevalent, and today I was able to go and donate. So I'm asking everybody else to step up and donate, whether it's through the school, through work, through the community. So with that, need a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a good one.